Hello and welcome back to the Games Embassy with the Ambassadors of Gaming. I'm one in your army of hosts, Ambassador Billy.
And I am Ambassador Jordan.
And welcome to our corner of the internet where we have news about stuff. Jordan, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Had a pretty lazy day off work, can't complain, getting some good time with gaming in. What about yourself?
Yeah, I actually came back from work not too long ago. So I'm like a night owl when it comes to work. All of my all of my productivity kind of happens in the later hours of the day, whether it's work or gaming. So yeah,
I kind of feel the same.
You know what I'm saying, right? So just kind of wanted to chill out and spend some time with my good friend Jordan in this episode.
Such a sweetheart.
Telling you. Yeah. So why don't you take us away with the plug?
As always, when there is important big news regarding our industry and how it is working and being affected by the world, we want to acknowledge the Hong Kong issues and the ties to gaming companies. However, this is not a medium for that. And we just like to say, as always, we try and separate politics and our views from the news, and thus we won't be discussing it any further on the Games Embassy. But however, Mike will be doing a video and we'll be covering it on our YouTube channel if you'd like to check it out. So be sure to go check it.
Absolutely. So let's get into the updates, announcements, and other miscellaneous news. So kicking off, Outer Wilds is launching on PS4 on October the 15th. It's not too far. How long is that? That's tomorrow. Goodness gracious, yeah. That's
I've honestly lost track of days though. I was just thinking, like, what date is it?
right. I'm looking at I look at the calendar, I see 14. I'm like, wowzers, it's literally tomorrow. That's crazy. But yeah, looking forward to that. It's going to be a good game.
Next on the list of releases and announcements is Starbreeze is announcing that they plan or anticipate to release Payday 3 in 2022 to 2023.
Seems like such a long way away, right?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. It was like, see, for being that far away, it seems like a really weird date bracket to put in place. Like, surely they could have been like, I don't know a better way to phrase it, but you think there would have been a nicer way, Like,
yeah, they could have said like start a Payday 3 in development or pre-production or something like that. Like instead of saying we're trying to shoot for 2-3 years from now, that's like how do you know how far along in development are they? What's going on? But still, I mean, it's always nice. It's a game getting a sequel. Hopefully, it's. I mean, I've heard the previous games are quite fun to play in co-op, so I'm hoping that that this one's going to be good as well. But still a ways away, so gonna keep an eye on that as it develops, I guess.
Yeah, like I played the second one a bit as well. It's like not a great deal, probably not enough to get enough time with it to like fairly critique it, but. It's like it was generally a good multiplayer game. I think there was some buggy issues that I encountered, or it's like this weird AI that kind of put me off a bit. But I would probably end up checking out the third one, just to give it a chance anyway.
Yeah, the premise is like heists, right? Like you go into a bank and you kind of it's about you have to steal as much money as possible, or
yeah, very much just have to get in, get the job done, and get out. And there's like it's been sometimes there even I'm playing it, I just lose track of what I'm doing and just run about doing random stuff. It's just so weird.
Don't blame you, mate. Oh man, but anyhow, some really good news here. Some new games coming to Game Pass. On the PC side of things, we have Outer Worlds, we have Minute, we have Lonely Mountains Downhill, we have State of Mind, F1 2018, Saints Row 4 Re-Elected, and Stellaris. And then on the Xbox side of things, we have Dishonored 2, World War Z, Panzer Dragoon Auto, Felix the Reaper, and Yooka-Laylee, the first game. So yeah, that's a pretty chock full list of Game Pass games from both PC and Xbox. I'm really liking how the kind of PC side of things on Game Pass has taken off. I always thought how would Game Pass work if it came to PC, but it seems developers are adopting it, publishers are adopting it quite well. The model's working. I think that's kind of evident in what we're seeing now, don't you think?
Yeah, there's so many good games coming to Game Pass as well. Like I was kind of saying to my friend even earlier, I was like, would it be interesting to see if like Xbox just went down the route of all of their first party games was just straight to Game Pass and like everything else was as is, but they just put everything they made pretty much available on it straight away. Like I know it's a little weird, but I know like they've kind of done it with Gears of War 5 and like keep advertising it like that. So it's like I think that might be something that's going to come. It'd be kind of like, even though I'm still a physical over digital type of guy, I'd still think I'd end up like buying into that a bit more because I pay the Game Pass anyway. And when you're getting decent games. I think even on the list, Dishonored 2, World War Z, and Yooka-Laylee, I've got 2 of the 3 of them, but they're still like really good games that like you can pretty much play. You don't have to worry about paying, even if it's like secondhand price.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, I like you said, the whole kind of Game Pass Ultimate and get the Ultimate Edition of like again, it's quite neat. I do like. I mean, I do. There is this worry that people have about like, oh, you know, it's just a license for the game. You don't actually own it, and blah blah blah. Like, and I get that. But at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, when's the last time there's been like a big glaring issue with something? I mean, you could say the same thing for Netflix. You pay money for that. You know, over how many years have we all been subscribed to Netflix, and how much money we put into Netflix? We don't own a single license to any of the movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, the model is completely identical there. It's like you don't get Game Pass because you're interested in buying games. It's because you're interested in trying games. And if you like a game, you might buy it and get a discount through Game Pass, or you'll just complete it on Game Pass and move on to the next thing. So it's quite a robust model, I think. And I'm just really happy to see developers and publishers just adopting it a lot more, because there was a concern initially, oh, you know, devs aren't going to support it because, you know, they're shooting themselves in the foot, or, you know, they're making less money and blah, 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 which is it's nonsense. It's like, why would Netflix be so successful then? Because the model's the same. It works. It's a functional model. So, I mean, it's great. It's great. I'm loving the extra games and things that I can check out without having to buy. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, I think it's like it sounds, not to be harsh to some games, but it definitely saves you money in the long run. Like, you think, oh, I'm paying that much a month, but it's not. I'm not going to try and bash on Gears 5 too much. Just a personal opinion. Like, I wasn't overall a big fan of it, and I probably would still bought it or still may buy it. But at the same time, it's like, I'm happy that Game Pass let me play it and get like form my opinion without having to spend that £60 on it. It could be used on something else.
Too true. So absolutely.
Yeah, definitely a factor. It's like, I still do like my digital physical games, but like the whole digital thing is picking up a lot more and even piquing my interest more and more. Like, it just makes it so much easier to access stuff.
Absolutely. But anyhow, moving along to the next item of news, Jordan.
I was getting too invested into Game Pass there. I could have just kept going.
But I've got stuck in there. I think it's you.
I saw it. Oh yeah. Sorry, man. I'll just pick up. I was looking at the Sony part in the news. Sorry, man.
It's all good, dude. Let me just pop it like that. Okay.
Cheers. Warner Bros. Interactive and IO Interactive agreed to new publishing and a distribution deal for new console and PC games, which is something that definitely piques my interest, because, you know, the Batman games, Total Lockdown, I've always kind of wanted to see another superhero take from that company, but I never really thought of who would work as a superhero to be in like the next Warner Bros. Game, for example. Like, do you have any opinions on that? Because like, I think it's quite an interesting topic to think of what would fit into that formula.
Yeah, I mean, Batman is like the OG when it comes to obviously the WB, like WB Montreal. They put out the Batman Origins game and, you know, all the other Batman games. But like, in terms of another superhero, I mean, I'm one of those people. There's always a creative way that you can tell a story and make it kind of work.
Yeah.
So a lot of people I've heard, like some friends I've spoken to, like other people, they've all said Superman wouldn't work because he's too OP. Like, what are you going to do in a Superman game? How would you make Superman vulnerable? But I mean, there's plenty of ways, I suppose, if you look in the canon, that you can do that, and I'm sure developers can find ways to do that. But I don't know. Ever since the Avengers game was announced, I thought, like, I thought, like, why hasn't there been like this big kind of ensemble team up kind of game like there are in, say, the MCU or the Justice League, etc. So I think it's completely possible, completely plausible for any of the superheroes really to get, you know, their stories told in a game and to eventually see like team up things. I do think that we have to be a bit careful, otherwise kind of studios and developers and publishers run the risk of oversaturating the market a little bit with too many superhero kind of characters and too many superhero games that are built around the same model. I mean, if you take the Batman game, for example, the fighting system that was introduced in Arkham Origins, that found its way into Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor in some capacity. Yeah. Then it found its way into Mad Max. Then it found its way into Shadow of War. Like, you know, you don't want to kind of oversaturate with like similar-ish looking games, like in terms of the core mechanics, while looking different on the front kind of thing. So I think as long as they do it creatively, and differently for each character, they should be able to pull it off. But I'd say they need to be very careful, sorry, with Superman as a character in games, I think. But what's your opinion? What would you like to see as the next kind of big marquee superhero game from WB?
So I don't know, 'cause I agree, like the whole Superman thing. Like, personally, I just don't know, or to me, I guess, how it would work. But I'm always thinking of like how it would work in the Batman formula, but necessarily doesn't actually have to follow that. So it's like you're saying, like if the story's done right, they could probably put any character in there and make it work. But I think then going back onto what you're saying, that if there's too many superhero games, even if they're done by different companies, but they're all kind of like a similar formula, similar concept, you know, like maybe even similar gameplay, it just makes it hard for any of them to shine against each other because they're all like, they're not really offering anything unique.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I really, really like the Batman games because they're probably like they're more grounded compared to other superhero games. Like even though it's as realistic as like that type of game can get, you know, it just feels different. I've always kind of felt that way about the Batman games, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if you compare Batman to Spider-Man PS4, for example, like both super, and they're obviously like one's Marvel, one's DC, but tonally they feel very different. So it just shows that you can have like two different superheroes and have it feel tonally and gameplay and mechanically different, and both games still being very enjoyable. I mean, some people have even said like the traversal for Batman games should be more like how it is in Spider-Man, but again, that runs the risk of making it a bit too samey, like, oh, it's another superhero game with some more swinging mechanics and some more throwing things at enemies mechanics and some more picking enemies up and flinging them against walls mechanic kind of thing. Like, so I think I loved how the Batman games were, exactly as you said. Like they were made really, really well, and story was great. And then on the flip side of that, we really loved the Spider-Man game as well, and how that was made and how that story was told. Yeah, ridiculously good game. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, I mean, I'd say I'd be excited to see any kind of superhero game, see what they do with it, and I wouldn't even say cautiously optimistic. I'd be like, you know, unapologetically optimistic about a new superhero game coming out, and I just want to see it kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm really just I just want more Batman as well. I'm just a sucker for them games.
Oh yeah, I want to see them continue the Origins line. What they did in Batman Arkham Origins, I want to see them continue that wherever they take it. I loved Roger Craig Smith as a Batman, and Troy Baker smashed it out of the park as the Joker. I mean, as a follow up. I say follow up, it's more prequel, but as like a successor to Mark Hamill, like I don't think they could have found a better actor to do that, to be honest.
It's pretty good. I enjoyed the Origins game. Even though I know it got met with a lot of backlash, but I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't like my favourite out of them all, but it's pretty like there's just I think they're all really good in different ways. Like one, obviously like the first one's what got me into the series. Really loved the story and kind of like the climax of the story, and then even in the second again, like it was all really handled well.
Absolutely, man.
I'm so biased for more of it, or even like other characters from that universe, like in their own game, like Nightwing or that would have been pretty sweet. I think to see like that.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of drop this in there, I think the Flash and Superman were teased like from Arkham City, Arkham City, I think that might need to be confirmed, but Arkham Knight for sure. I remember hearing like thugs on the street referencing, you know, like the caped freak from Metropolis or something like that. So, so there's reference out there, but I don't know if they'd continue in the kind of the Arkham verse, like the Rocksteady trilogy, or if they'd kind of do it with the origin stuff. Either way, more Batman, the better, right?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be so good.
Yeah,
it's been too long, I'd say.
Yeah, but let's move on into some news headlines here. Starting off with Sony keeps on chugging along. Facebook integration is no longer available on PS4. The company announced via its Twitter and later via official channels that it would no longer support Facebook integration. Facebook, however, gave a statement to Kotaku, good old Kotaku, that the companies were working, in quotes, to finalize an updated contract designed to improve the Facebook integration on PlayStation. We hope to bring these features back as soon as our teams reach an agreement, end quote. Very interesting. I didn't see it coming. I don't think majority of people saw the kind of cutting off of Facebook integration coming. It was interesting. I saw this kind of headline pop up around the same time that there was this whole furore about Facebook doing end-to-end encryption.
Mm-hmm.
And like governments are up in arms about it, saying, no, we need to be able to have a backdoor and da 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 da. And I don't know which side Sony falls on in terms of that, but obviously, there's an element of if Facebook does communication a certain way and Sony's kind of like in terms of their whole ethic or ethos as a company, if they're different to how Facebook's trying to go with the whole end-to-end encryption thing, like, does that mean Sony's not a fan of end-to-end encryption, or do they want it to all be open and have backdoors? I mean, it's like towing that line, I guess. But yeah, I suppose until we know for sure, it's difficult to say. But what are your thoughts on that specific, like hearing that news?
So no, at first I thought it was going to be more down the route of they were possibly like creating their own system to do, like not necessarily sharing things to social media, but like their own platform with that, like similar to like how there's supposedly a rough mention of maybe having a more streamer focused console. So maybe it's that they could have been taking out these features because, like if you've got that functionality built in to share your gameplay on Facebook, then you might not be encouraged to use their platform to like go do stuff on. That's kind of what my first assumption was. Right. I guess like the whole end-to-end encryption probably could be a bigger factor than that. So I just felt like they're going to build their own kind of way to stream content, make it a lot easier, maybe trying to remove the need of all the equipment that you have to get to be up and running as a streamer, because I know you can get like the camera with a PSVR and that, and maybe even incorporating things like that. But that's just kind of like a rough assumption. It's based on some rumors I saw, so yeah, but I think it is an interesting possibility.
For me personally, now that you mentioned that actually sounds more plausible. I mean, when you think about it, you don't want to have like competition. You don't want to push competition on your own platform, kind of thing. I mean, Sony is evidently kind of and very clearly, we're in the lead. We're not going to, just do all this. The kind of I wouldn't call it a facade, but the kind of chummy nature that Xbox has with its competition, or the Xbox executives have with the competition. It's great. It's really nice to see. It's kind of like camaraderie within the industry. But Sony doesn't really Sony's never really been upfront with that, or kind of being like, yes, we're all about getting along with each other. I mean, Yoshida even said, it's all about getting great games that can only play on our system, kind of thing. He's very much kind of shutting any door on like having games across different systems published by Sony, etc. But along in that same vein, what I was saying was like, just like you said, stripping the console of its Facebook integration, potentially, who knows, down in the future, maybe even Twitter integration or whatever. Like it could be a sign that Sony's serious about getting into the streaming game. I mean, if you think about it, Microsoft bought Beam, which then became Mixer, and now they're pushing it, and they acquired Ninja, for probably a lot of money. So like Microsoft's serious about streaming and pushing streaming. So obviously Sony wants to probably enter that space, and then to do that, just like you said. Because if you think about it, like Facebook integration or Facebook integration generally on Facebook is on Xbox, is very so-so in my opinion. I never really thought, oh wow, look at this amazing Facebook integration on Xbox. One of the first things I noticed on PlayStation this is like launch 2013, 2014, was how like involved Facebook was with everything on PlayStation. Your friends, suggested followers, suggested things to see, or suggested communities to connect with. It was all based on Facebook, and now it's like suddenly stopping that. So you make a plausible assumption, I think, in terms of them kind of sticking their kind of flag in the ground and saying, we want to be serious about our own kind of social gaming kind of networking element side of things, and for that we need to kind of strip our console of competition, really.
Kind of touches on the similar thing with when, like you're saying, Microsoft had a more like focus on their own streaming platform when it took Mixer into play, and then they basically got rid of the Twitch integration to allow you to stream from your Xbox straight to Twitch. So I know it's kind of different because it's not like you're not sharing on social media, you're actually being able to stream. And I guess they got rid of that so they could implement the actual streaming directly into the console pretty much, or kind of dash. So it's similar to that, maybe, like, removing features that could potentially be jeopardized or jeopardize your own new functionality because, if they're already familiar with it, they're just going to keep using it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not. You never know. It is interesting. Be interesting to see what comes of it all.
Definitely.
Or even like in the next console, like if there's anything getting dropped completely, or you see the stuff slipping its way back in.
Most def. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on for sure.
And to move on to the next point, still touching on Sony, is that the patent for the show patent, which could be the new updated PSVR. Patent shows off more LEDs on the unit, 2 front-facing cameras and 2 rear-facing cameras. The patent also shows off new PlayStation Move controllers, a headset, which is mentioned that could be operated wirelessly via Bluetooth, allowing a nice change to the bulky wired current PSVR. And lastly, the patent mentions that there is an option for the headset to have a transparent view by showing what those of the front-facing cameras are seeing. Super helpful for dealing with one's surroundings, which is pretty cool, considering I've just been playing the PSVR. I wouldn't know entirely how long, but I'd say maybe a couple hours today on Beat Saber. These type of functions definitely seem like they'd be helpful. Because there's times when you can have the headset on for so long, you just kind of lose. Like, I know it sounds silly, but it's like you lose track of where you are, or what's around you. Yeah, I think like, whilst I'm still not massively into the whole VR scene, I'm still really enjoying the games that I do have and when I play it. So I think it'd be like pretty cool if they retain that and take the VR forward into the next console generation as well, as opposed to it being
quite
like
a good entry point, isn't it? Like the PSVR, I think it's a good entry point. It's got, from what I'm seeing, like adverts, etc., it's got pretty fun looking games to kind of get you into the whole world of VR and experiencing it for what it is, kind of thing. So, I mean, it's great. I love that Sony's not giving up on it or kind of like sidelining it or pushing it to the back or anything. They're kind of they're wanting to kind of update it and make it more palatable for people. Like, obviously, the first thing you notice, you've got PSVR. I said, well, the first thing you probably noticed was how bulky it was, and addressing that by making it more, I don't know, more sexy, I guess, in terms of a device. I mean, you always want a technology to look nice as well as be functional for its purpose. So,
exactly.
Awesome. But yeah, onto some more somber news. PlayStation has reportedly laid off dozens of UK employees. VGC reports that the layoffs came the same day as the Wired PS5 article came out. Allegedly, employees had no idea that they were in danger of being let go. According to these reports, American PlayStation executives visited Sony Interactive Entertainment Europe's London office and told employees of the company's restructure of PR, marketing, and other divisions. Employees were then handed their notices or told to re-interview for their position. This comes as a continued effort by PlayStation's North American branch takes on more and more influence over the company. I mean, this is not really great in terms of how PlayStation or Sony are. I'd say it's more Sony than PlayStation because since PlayStation is like a subsidiary of Sony, quite a profitable one, but still a subsidiary. But I mean, just the kind of like the whole. I mean, I think in the last episode we probably talked about this more than we should have, but the whole Sean Layden kind of getting removed and the same thing happening in Japan and now all this stuff happening in Europe. I mean, there is a kind of a faint whiff of like they're preparing their team or kind of making the team ready for the launch of PS5, but surely the worst thing you can do is damage public perception of the brand. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like that's the worst. It's crazy. Like that is, I just don't understand why they have to do this now with the PS5 literally in terms of business sense. It's literally right on the toes now. Like it's just ahead of them. I mean, it's been 6 years. It's about 6 years since PS4 came out. So like, it's right around the corner, and people are having this negative viewpoint on Sony and how they're handling their professional kind of relationships, etc. It's weird. It just seems very off to me. I don't know about what do you think about it, Jordan?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. I can't understand why they do it this way or why they've even done it, but I can only think, without delving into the topic at all, like if there's any political issues or if, like affecting these things, just with it being in the UK, hopefully not. But yeah, I never understood the whole like you basically tell the people that have been loyal to your company and like putting in the hours, putting in the graft, that you have to like re-interview for your position, for example, and then like you're saying, not only does it like destroy the image you've got from like people we're looking in, or like just even ex-employees, well, people who then become ex-employees that leave and then pass on that information to other people. It's like surely like they want to be doing their best to best promote the PlayStation and Sony in general, like coming up to the release of the PS5 as well, like you were saying. So I think I just don't understand it at all.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll still say, I mean, public perception is everything when it comes to how successful a product is, how loved a company is. And that's one of the reasons why, like, I come to Xbox's defense a lot. It's because I can see, and it's weird, like, Xbox's defense, like, I'm not getting paid by them. But when I come to their defense a lot, like in a public domain, it's more because I know how much they're working at their public perception after the whole debacle of their launch of the Xbox One. And they've shown that they're listening to consumers, that they're putting, you know, consumer friendly things forward. You know, they introduced Game Pass, they reimagined the console and what it was capable of, and they made a more powerful system, which is what people wanted from the start. And you know, these kind of things that they're showing that they're listening. And then Sony, on the other hand, kind of they had the whole crossplay situation. They had the whole, you know, what else happened with Sony? I mean, that Sean Layden situation, if we're going to talk about recent events, I'm sure the whole situation in Japan was similar in terms of the impact that it had. And now this, like firing, like laying off a bunch of people in Europe, etc. It's not great. Putting all of these points together is really kind of damaging brand awareness. And
I don't get it.
No bueno. Absolutely no bueno.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, I know like people don't plan to do negative things one after another, but it seems like a lot of them happen so quickly after another. It's like you're saying, like surely they would kind of stop for a minute and be like, yeah, we should maybe tone down on this or just not do it at all.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
so
exactly on that same point of like PlayStation being a bit iffy, it was weird because I said this. I was discussing this as it happened when with the whole Sean Layden situation. It seemed like as soon as that happened, there was a lot of kind of people making light of the situation. Like, I saw Greg Miller on Twitter. I forget that chick, Nakamura something. That, you know, that really bubbly girl who came at woman, sorry, who came on the stage at, I can't remember, I think it was a Square Enix conference or something. Like, she was really bubbly. Yeah, it's something. I think her surname or first name is Nakamura or something. But yeah, she's really kind of sweet and bubbly. Like, she did a post about, since I'm, you know, gunning for the role, Sean Layden's role, and this and that. They just became this big pantomime about something that's actually quite a big deal for Sean Layden. Like, this is a job that he's poured his whole life into, his whole professional life, his whole career, 30 years at a company. You know, he pours his whole life into it. And now that he's been dropped, like, people are just making light of it and turning it into this whole social media pantomime. And people are laughing about it. And it's like, my guy, is like, a dude just lost his job and we don't know why. And we're making light of it. It's like, it's not a small deal, it's a big deal. Like, what's happening at this company? Why are they doing this?
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, it just begs a lot of questions. I mean, until we have more information about it, I guess it's just speculation and thinking, oh wow, Sony's being evil, they're being really rubbish. But I mean, I'm sure they'll have some kind of PR press release version of events and explaining how this is all factoring into their plan. But yeah, no like doubt. You said, yeah, who knows?
But to move on to the next topic, we've got the Xbox corporate vice president, Mike Ybarra, hopefully I pronounced that right, announces his departure. So you mentioned in a series of tweets that he's leaving the company after 20 years. He's also mentioned that the Xbox is looking great, the future is good, and he's really proud of what they've accomplished during that time. But he's not retiring, as he will be having more news kind of spread out soon about his new position, which will be quite interesting to see what that is. Do you know much about this bit of news, Billy?
Yeah, so again, the tweet took me by surprise because, again, we're so close to the new generation consoles that like it feels like this isn't the best time to kind of be dropping your top shelf executives. But but like Mike Ybarra seems like a great guy. I mean, I don't know him personally, but on Twitter I've seen how he interacts with fans, and his passion for the brand is evident. So seeing him tweet that, I did kind of feel some kind of way about. I was like, oh man, Xbox just lost a great guy. But I'm sure whoever steps into his role is going to have just as much energy. Hopefully, we hope that, especially going into the new generation. But a lot of speculation about is how did Google buy him up? But I love how people say buy him up, as if like, are we going to pay you $1 million if you come work for our company? It's like, no, that's not how it works. You work for a company and then you get paid. But yeah, so it's interesting. It will be interesting to see, does he go from like working in the corporate sector to going back in the studios and engineering teams and like working within a team? Like, does he kind of move back into that environment, or does he stay as like a corporate VP and work for, say, Google on Stadia, or
that'd definitely be pretty interesting to see.
That would be pretty interesting if he did, actually, because it's happened. I think a couple of people. There was a dude at I think it was Xbox or PlayStation. It must be Xbox, I think. And he, like, when Stadia was announced, I see him and like explaining how the technology is working. I'm like, I swear I saw you talking about the Xbox technology a few years ago. And it's like, he's like Google now, I guess. And then not Jessica, what's her name? Jade Raymond, that's it. The lady who used to work at Ubisoft Toronto. She left Ubisoft Toronto and she's working with Google on Stadia as well. It's crazy. Like, a lot of people, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be a little bit surprised. I can't say I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be a little bit surprised, but it would kind of create a whole load of memes about the situation if Mike moves to Google. What's your thoughts on the whole situation?
I think it'd be pretty interesting when he makes that move. And it'd be like even more interesting to see what impact it has on the stadium moving forward if he was to go into the team. It's like, whilst I'm still kind of skeptical on the whole Stadia thing, I still want to see it succeed. Like, I want to see what comes of it and like what impact it could have on the gaming community and just gaming in general moving forward. Like the way to play games, the way to interact with them. Still kind of stand the whole, if I'm gaming 9 times out of 10, I'm going to prefer to be sat in like a chair, like playing a home console or like something like the Switch. I guess if like the Stadia is kind of like that, then it's going to be a no-brainer. But I'm trying not to get too excited on the Stadia. It's kind of went off topic onto the Stadia there, but yeah. That's
right. I mean, with all these executives leaving, like, and not retiring, it just kind of begs the question: Are they moving to Google? Since Google's kind of like with the Stadia, at least it's like very much I forget the word for it in business terms. There's a word for it. It's at the back of my head. It's going to bug me now. But yeah, they're kind of just starting out, so they're trying to get as much talent as possible and pool as much resources as possible. So again, I'd be a little bit surprised, but not fully like bamboozled, shocked if Google kind of snap up Mike. I mean, it'd be quite a catch for them, considering how Mike Ybarra helped to kind of turn Xbox around and work on that side of things. So I suppose it's one of those things, like, eagerly awaiting any further news, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's still, I was just thinking about it a bit more now. It's like, it's weird just thinking, like, if he does go to Stadia, like, it must be hard for anyone to be in a company for that long, help build all these products and that, and like build what the brand image is, and then jump ship to then be something that you're then trying to beat what you just made great. If that makes sense.
It's like, let's get our team, like, I wouldn't say in the league, but let's get them close second place, like, let's say second place. Let's get them really, really up there. And then let's just join another team and get the other team really, really up there.
It's like, it must be so hard.
Right. It's like your heart is with the company that you just left. Like, how are you gonna, that element makes me think maybe not. Because I feel like after 20 years at a company, you wouldn't just like jump ship to another company, like, no matter how much they're paying and whatnot. Like, you'd either retire or you kind of go into more kind of, I don't know, more hands-on field, or you would kind of change tack completely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be so difficult. It's like if you work on anything for so long, like even just a little project, and then you go do something else that totally like strays from it or makes it redundant, you're kind of like, you feel sad. But maybe, when money talks, I guess, if that was a factor, you never know. Like, that could make it change. But yeah, like you're saying, I guess it's waiting until you find out more news to see actually what happened before making too many assumptions, because, it's going to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, funny we were talking about Stadia because the next news item is very much in that same vein in terms of streaming and remote playing. Steam is adding a new remote play split screen multiplayer feature. Steam is adding the feature they call remote play together. This will allow two or more players to play local multiplayer games over the internet. And the feature is launching in beta and will be released the week of October 21st. And I've read about this. I think it was an Instagram post by IGN where they kind of just touched on it very briefly. It's like the person who's playing multiplayer doesn't have to own the game, and the game will run through the Steam overlay, like over the internet, which
That's
I'm not too sure.
cool.
It sounds pretty cool. Like I'd want to see how it works. I do want to see like visually in front of my own eyes. Okay, how does this work? How will I play a multiplayer game with someone else? I don't own the game. How will that work? Like, is it like similar to playing PS Now games on your PC when it's streaming from a server? But like, how's that kind of working? But that's dope. I really do like the idea of.
Do you think it could be similar to like the whole buddy bass thing that's going on with games where like you don't own it but you still have to download like part of it at least to be able to play it? Or do you think that's not going to have this at all? Because no, like that's going to happen with Wolfenstein. One person buys the game, you give them the Game Pass, they download the trial, but the trial is actually the full game for them. And it works that way.
Right.
But I don't know if this is going away from that and being purely like they stream the entire game as opposed to downloading anything. But I think it'd be pretty cool either way. I
mean, it could be. It's because I've seen like on PC with some, especially the bigger games, they've had like a multiplayer data and then single player data. I mean, so some I think the Uncharted games kind of when you install them, they give you an option to download multiplayer first. I think it's probably gonna kind of just stream the multiplayer component. I think, which is still fine. I mean, consider all things considered, but that's. I mean, the idea that you don't have to own a game on PC, because from my experience, the way people game share on Xbox or game share on PlayStation, that's never been something that's doable on PC, in my opinion. Like you have to, there is kind of like a bare bones kind of system like that on Steam that people can use, but it's not really the same way as Xbox or PlayStation where everything is available. It's only certain games. Other games, say like the Witcher games, for example, they don't let you do kind of game sharing, like family sharing kind of games and whatnot. They call it like the family sharing library or something, but it's game sharing basically. It's nowhere near the same. But if this opens the door to a more Xbox, PlayStation-esque style of game sharing, then by all means, I'm all for it.
Yeah, what? No, that's just wondering. Sounds it might be a total silly thing to even consider. But see, this is local multiplayer games, and you play them together. Do you think that that's replicating what local multiplayer would look like on both screens, or it just basically does what a standard multiplayer game does in this day and age, where it's both of separate screens? Like I'm talking more about like the split screen. I know that sounds really silly, but I just for some reason it was in my head. Is like, is that what they're trying to do?
They're reimagining the couch gaming environment. I think that because like people drift further and further apart geographically, but they still want to kind of get together and game and enjoy certain experiences. So I mean, I suppose it's good to add an element of that kind of couch experience of multiplayer. It's fun. It's fun though. I mean, why didn't they settle on? I kind of get what it says. Like, why didn't they settle on just having, like, if I'm the one that's streaming and you own the game, you're playing it locally. So why aren't you just seeing your screen, and why am I not just seeing my screen? But I suppose they're I don't know, over the internet, adding you to the game, and then streaming that dual screen image to your screen, whether that's on a TV screen or a monitor or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It sounds so crazy, but I suppose Steam done did it. It's done did it. They figured something out, and it's gonna be fun to kind of see. And if it does take off, if it becomes one of those highly used features, which I'm sure it will. I mean, when you think about how much of a benefit it's going to be for so many gamers, how much fun, how many hours of fun you can have with it. It'll be great to see how it evolves when it starts kind of rolling out. I mean, in beta and will be released week of October 21st. That's coming up. That's next week. That's next week, Monday, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it is.
Next week, Monday. That's crazy. I mean, all these things are coming out so quickly. All these new things and new stuff and technologies and softwares and capabilities are just coming out so quickly. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's difficult to keep up with things at times. Like, it's just so rapid. It's good. Definitely a good thing, but you just kind of lose track of what's actually going on. It's difficult.
Absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see what comes of it, and hopefully it does make an impact and it does change up, like mix up things and give PC players a new kind of platform for sharing games, like you were saying.
Absolutely. 100% agree, dude. So that's all we have for today. So do try and check us out at least once a week, because that's how often we try to do this. And you might like what you find. Remember the Patreon, do have a look there. We have some great content for you to enjoy and consume. We have our group chats and any other fun content that we decide to come up with. But yeah, do hop on over there. It's very good value for money. I'm sure Jordan will agree, and Mike, who's unfortunately not with us today, but
God bless.
Yeah, he's got he'll agree with that as well. But just hop on over to our sites, our YouTubes, as if it's plural, our YouTube and our Patreon, I'm sure you'll enjoy what you find. But that's all we have time for. And I've been Ambassador Billy.
And I've been Ambassador Jordan.
See you soon.
See you later.